everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and this is episode 2 of really discovering who your authentic self is, right? So I was talking to a client recently, and we were talking, and we were going through this process of evaluating like who they are. Like, right, it's not my job to learn it. So we kind of unboxed it. So what happens is, so now we have that spiritual center. So that's your spiritual center. Now we got to go into who are you as a person? Like, and I don't mean what do you do for a profession? I don't mean, are you a teacher? Are you a mother? Are you a spouse? Are you a father? Are you a brother? Are you a child? That's not who you are. You cannot define yourself based on how many hours you're working, how much money is in your bank, what your title is, what your work title is, what your car is, what your house is. Stop. That's not who you are. You're not a firefighter. That's a job that you do. You're not a doctor. That's a job that you do. You're not a teacher. That's a job that you do, right? That's not your definition. So one thing we did was I started asking, well, what do you do? I mean, what do you enjoy doing? And they said to me, well, I enjoy hiking. Like, I definitely enjoy going out. I enjoy being like in mountains. I enjoy those things. Okay. So you're an adventurer. Okay. That landed really well for them. They said, yes, I'm an adventurer. Right. So like, okay, you're an adventurer. So what does that mean? Do you see how when you say something like, I'm a doctor, it's great. It's amazing, by the way. We need you. Thank you. But it's so, there's no like, but if I say you're an adventurer, you're like, oh my God, all that wander are not lost. Like it gives you something. It says, oh my gosh, I have this sense of purpose of I want to have adventure. I want to walk. So you got to get clear into what it is that you like doing. And if you don't know what you like doing, don't be alarmed. Don't go into a victimhood. Just try new things, right? Like, so what else did they say? Oh, they like to play music. They play guitar. And you know, we're talking and they said, yeah, I really like getting together with people and, you know, just kind of jamming, like a full jam session. Okay, so you're creative. They said, yeah, I guess I am creative. So we're starting to define them, right? Adventurer, creative. So when you say creative, that opens up space. It gives you, sorry, my head itches because I had a hat on earlier and it was like itchy. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of one of those things that when you understand that when you get to see the things that you like to do, and that means what you like to do at 20 might not be what you like to do at 50. What you like to do at 50 might be different than 70, right? But for this time being, you're an adventurer, you're a creative person. So the creativity, it starts to show you that you're not defined by something. It's giving you space to grow in it, right? So if I say you're creative, holy hell, you could be doing creative stuff all day for the rest of your life. You could be creating a book. You could be creating a novel, that is a book. You could be creating art. You could be creating music. You could be creating anything. But when you get clear that there is no end or no beginning to it, see, that's what you need. That's who you are. There's no end to being an adventurer, right? Because even if physically you can't adventure anymore, psychologically you can. You can do the virtual tours. Like, I love the virtual tours. Like, oh, we're going on a virtual tour of like the Vatican or something, right? And they're very detailed. And so you can still be an adventurer without even actually spending money or going anywhere. But you want to be clear into the things that make you tick, right? And then they said to me, they're an animal lover. And I'm like, I love you. I'm in love with you because I'm an animal lover too. And so, great. So that means that you have compassion to things that do not have a voice for themselves. Do you see how we like took that? Because when you care for animals, they don't have a voice. They can't say, hey man, like I'm neglected. Like, I mean, you can see it, but they're saying it without words, but you know what I'm saying. They're not coming out and they're saying it. So, you know, it's having compassion and having empathy and connectivity to something that may not have a voice for themselves. So that's compassionate for another, not human being, so to speak. That's fine. That's great. But it's for things that no longer have a voice. I mean, they don't have a voice of their own. So now as you start to define that, you're able to sit in it and go, oh my God, it's limitless for me. Because see, when you say you're a doctor or a teacher or a therapist or this or that, it's a bit amazing, right? We're not like negating that. But it's so encapsulating though, because it's like, this is what I do, right? And then that means technically, it's like, I see this a lot with childhood, with moms who have put everything into their children. Don't do that. Put everything into their children and lost themselves. Again, don't do that. Don't want to lose your independence. And then they go off to live their best life. They're in college. A, you spiral out of control because you're like, I have no idea who my identity is. B, now you become entitled. Well, I gave my entire 18 years to this person and they didn't call me. They don't have to. So you have to be really careful of putting all of your eggs in one basket or saying, this is what I do. Now, if you say I'm an adventurer, I'm a creative person, and I have compassion towards animals, oh my God, that's endless. For the rest of your life, that's still endless. If you did it for the next 140 years, it's still endless and it's timeless. So getting to know who you are, getting to know who your authentic self is, and being real and true to yourself is A, knowing what you align with spiritually. You're going to need that solid foundation. And then knowing the deeper, undiscovered things about who you are, right? I am very connected. I am a connected to higher power and energy source. I am so connected to that. And by having that connectivity, it becomes, gosh, almost so peaceful that everything else is like just excess chatter, but it goes away. And it's invigorating, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. So I want you to start figuring out what it is that you like doing, and then attach, let's not say attach, let's say assign something to it. So like when they said to me, oh, they like to go for hikes and stuff like that. Okay, well, they're an adventurer. So you want to be able to connect something positive and limitless to something that you like to do. That's who you are, right? That's who you are. I am an animal lover through and through. And my reason is because as I was going through neglect and abuse, my dog also was outside. So I would go sit with Ringo. He has a whole chapter in my book, by the way. I would go sit with Ringo and we would sit outside, and he was my person. I was codependent on him, very much so. But I also realized how, even though I didn't have a voice, he for sure didn't have a voice. So it was something that became, as we were codependent on each other, it allowed me to still do amazing work and use that power or that pain, turn that into power and help other things, other abuse situations for animals and stuff like that. So to me, I am, and how I look at that, if I was defining myself, is I am probably one of many, but one very compassionate to the underdog of animals, right? So if they're misunderstood as a bully breed, or they're neglected as a horse or whatever, I am always going to gravitate towards that to let them know, hey, you know what? We're going to get you in a better space. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to hold space for you so you can thrive. Not fix them, not save them. I mean, we say save them, but hold space so they can thrive, right? So that's who I am, right? And not what I do. And so when you take the definition away, it also takes the pressure away of having to show up hard every single day. I better show up at my job every single day, and I got to give 700%, give 100%, show up as you should, but have your boundaries, because that doesn't define you. Because if that goes away and that's your definition, you will spin out of control. You will not know how to bounce back. But if you know, hey, okay, that sucks. It does suck. And I really need a job. And it sucks. But it doesn't define me. You don't feel less than. You don't feel as though you didn't do enough, or, all of those things. So it starts to unbox it. So now we're starting to really discover who you authentically are. You've discovered from a spiritual perspective, or you are discovering from a spiritual perspective. You are discovering who you are at your core, not who you're told to be, not who society wants you to be. So that's going to be your second video, like your second exercise here, is to just kind of write down, what do I like doing? Okay, it's reading. Let's say it's reading. Okay, let's say you like reading. And the reason, now, first you ask yourself why, right? So you don't just say, I'm a reader, this is what I do. You ask yourself, well, why do I like reading? Maybe it's because you escape everything. You live vicariously through other people. You're not having to deal with yourself, but not in a negative way, like a full-on avoidance. So let's say in that case, right, let's kind of create this together. Let's say in that case, you're a dreamer. You're a dreamer. You are dreaming. And that's okay. Be a dreamer. I mean, you want to execute it, but you're a dreamer. That's okay. Do you see how much better that sounds? Like, oh, I'm a dreamer. I have these dreams, and gosh, it's like I can live vicariously through these stories in this book. And oh, it just makes me feel so good. And I'm a dreamer. Does that sound better than saying I just like reading? And it frees it up. It gives you space to be creative. So, I mean, that's just food for thought. That was like a real life example. So let's see some things you like to do. And then tell me in the comments, what are some definitions of who you are now? Not what you do, who you are.